just like our regular Saturday show, except Friday and we're on
I know.
the ocean.
Well, I don't know if my mic's on.
Why don't we
That's
turn it
right.
on?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you see there's a switch, it says on and off.
I don't have my glasses on.
Ah, there's that too.
I can't see
People
without
in
my
denial
my
about
seeing eye
seeing.
dogs.
You see these? There's a reason.
Who are all these people in our living room?
That's right. We normally do this from Vegas, from a little studio there. But since we're not in Vegas and we're not going to be there tomorrow, we had to do it here with you guys. So suffer through it with us.
And it'll be on Saturday night. So
Well, I don't know. Are they going to get it that right? Are we going to try to post it that quick? Okay.
Saturday night.
Up she
So
goes.
if you're
Good,
home
bad, or otherwise.
on Saturday night, next Saturday. No, what
Saturday.
what is today? Tomorrow night it's going to be. It'll be on tomorrow night. So if you were in front of your computer, it's Cat and Todd Live. It's a channel on YouTube, and it's a fun show. And so we would love to have you join us. We're so happy to be here. We've been here all week with everybody. I can't believe it's over.
A lot of our people are here.
Oh, I was just going to say, we're here
See,
with...
normally I don't let
we're
her
here
do
with
this
our
because
group.
people fall asleep as she says hello to 150 people. But now you can do it.
Well,
Start
okay.
the show by saying hi to everybody.
No, I do want to say hi because we've spent a week with our people, as we say. And we met them online on when COVID started. I started a little show of my own in front of a camera on my cell phone when we were on, it was just supposed to be locked up for a few weeks. Do you remember that? Well, so I started talking to people live on Facebook, and I said, I'm going to be here every night, and so we all have some connections of some sort. And then it never ended. It just went on. And then when COVID, we were locked down in Las Vegas for a long time. When it was starting to be over, all these wonderful people who I got to know just from reading their comments as they came into the room. And I felt like I knew everybody. And then 2 weeks turned into 2 months, turned into 2 years. People were scared that we were, Todd joined me. He said, what are you doing? He walked through the room and I said, I'm talking to everybody on Facebook. And he said, what? And so I was really much more engaged.
She told me we were going to do this for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
That's what they said on the news.
How many years ago was it? Actually, it was...
It's over 5.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
So we...
That's what happens when you say something to her, it's extended commitment.
I'm very committed to the show, but people were afraid we were going to not come on anymore because COVID was over. So I've had my Friday night life talk show, that's on my Facebook page, Catherine Hickland, every Friday night. And then Saturday night, we started this. And it's a really fun channel. And we got to meet all of these people that are with us. We have 50 people or so, maybe more in our group. And last night I did 23 makeovers because I own a cosmetics company too.
Well, some of you don't know she has a cosmetics company, so
Yeah.
that would explain.
That was fun.
She doesn't just go around and randomly making people over. I'm the one who does that.
I didn't do it, but I had a setup right outside. Is it called Princess Live, that theater? There were 23 people, and I was just like
Did people just
I
come
was
up
a
and
makeup
join in,
Jedi.
or did you just get our people? Or did somebody jump in?
No, I didn't have anybody jump in. It was just, but I will tell you, I feel it in my back today.
Ah.
Yeah, but it was worth it because you guys looked so beautiful last night and everybody took their pictures and, oh man, and you got on stage in the big theater last night with Trinice, yes. So everyone's been really, everyone.
Now the reason why these
so
folks
special.
joined the show, because, we made those little clips, so some of you don't know who the hell we are. You might know a little something about who we are. But the purpose of the show became, storytelling and just interacting with people. They got a little broader and broader. Pretty soon, we started talking a lot about collecting. Because my mother was a very famous collector of Hollywood memorabilia. That dream got onto me, and so I'm a pretty famous collector of Hollywood memorabilia. And I think my mother always used to say, almost to everybody, it's a great thing to have a collection of some sort, even if it's just salt shakers or thimbles or whatever your thing is. Some people collect huge things, cars, whatever, but it's a fun thing to have a collection. So we spend a bit of our time talking about that. In my mother's estate and my sister's estate, we had a lot of things that are literally thousands of items are in our archives, and hundreds of thousands of photographs and things. But we started to restore a lot of these items when we would find things and things needed restoration. So that was something we got to share with everybody. In fact, we have some clips of some of that. It's a little out of sequence, Ryan, but you want to do that? Can we jump?
We cannot go out of
We don't
sequence.
need to jump. We don't need to. I'm
No.
going to show you. No?
No.
Okay, stay in order, I have been told.
I love when Ryan says,
Sit.
stay and order.
Stay.
Ryan is our producer. We're in Vegas. He's in Pennsylvania. And it's quite the show.
Well, I just wanted to warn you what you're getting into. I see a lot of people that we don't normally have. So it's about collecting. It's about the history of Hollywood. Sometimes it's scandalous. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's inspirational. There's some pretty cool people. My family was pretty famous for being inspirational. And so we try to continue that message.
I think it's important for everybody to lift each other up, no matter if we know them or not, and let people know that it's okay to feel feelings, no matter what they are. And so I think one of the things I'd like to start with is there's a documentary that Todd was a producer on, and it wasn't supposed to be a legacy piece. It was actually, because Debbie was getting kind of frail, and she was in near her 80s, and she was still performing live in Las Vegas. I mean, she had two speeds. Debbie was 99 miles an hour and stop. So she was either on stage singing and dancing, or she was in bed.
In bed watching Turner Classic Movies.
And yes.
Which is what all good people should be doing at a certain point.
And it was hard to believe, because when she was out there, she was like this, and then you would see her off stage and she'd shuffle along like an old lady, and you were like, I can't believe this is the same person. But there was this beautiful documentary that they made, that Todd was a producer on, called Bright Lights. I don't know if you've seen it. If you ever want to, you can. It's an HBO documentary, and it's on.
Yeah, you can still watch it.
You just do HBO search. It's so wonderful, and it was made because Debbie, it was clear that it was coming to sort of the end of her being able to perform like that. And it was really about her and Carrie, Todd's sister's relationship, which was complicated and amazing, both at the same time.
So we have a little outtake clip section from that, and I also put a couple things in here that were literally cut out of the movie just so you could see something unique.
Yeah.
There's a little scene between my mother and sister that didn't make it into the final cut that's quite interesting dynamic. You can see them.
And I would like to say too is that it's very interesting because it was kind of a reality show setting. And you really do forget the cameras are there after like 2 minutes. You just don't even notice them. And so Todd likes to say this was them in their natural habitat, and I would say that that's pretty accurate.
Well, I also like to say, because when we took this in as a documentary, some people came up to me and said, well, this isn't, they know my background. I used to make documentaries for National Geographic many years ago and things. So they know I'm a bit of a purist. And they were like, wait a minute, this isn't really a documentary. And I said, no, it really is. We actually let the sharks eat the penguins. And that's kind of watching, you'll see some pretty harsh stuff in this documentary. No, it's true.
It is.
No, I mean, like, somebody came to me when we made this thing, and they said, the lawyers for Carrie actually, and they said, oh, you can't show that scene of Carrie having literally a manic episode on camera. And I put it in there because Carrie was very open about things that she was going through, because it did help a lot of people that were also feeling and going through those things to show that there's light at the end of the tunnel, even though you're at the moment caught up in something potentially horrific.
I don't think that's the scene we'll show now, but let's go ahead and show that scene.
It's there. No, that's not there.
Mother and I live next door to each other, separated by one daunting hill. I usually come to her. I always come to her. Mommy, I'm home.
Hello.
Look, you cannot keep that phone. It's ridiculous.
You want my
I want your phone,
archaic phone? Don't break it.
Honey, you can't break something like this. I wish you could.
It's not broken. It's working.
Hey! Tell me, is it good? I hadn't made it with bacon before.
It's very hot. Did you just get it out of the oven?
Yes, but the puff went down.
Dwight, this is a beautiful puff. I would eat this before anything, during, and after anything. Because it is so light. It's just like an angel's wings. It's like air.
Is it all right?
I'm going to eat it all tonight.
Where did it go? I lost mine, of course. You misplaced your balance, I misplaced my souffle, which sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. It's chiffon. See, this is what happens.
I thought you put it on the piano.
Oh. Now that's that one.
Yep.
Oh, there's the other one. Okay. Oh, that was so stressful. My mom once came and stayed with me when. Stop it! When I was living with Paul, my first and only husband, and she asked if I wanted to eat something, and she heated up some cream corn, and it was warm-ish on the outside and cold in the middle. It was delicious.
Good, though. It's really good. Especially with,
It was the intention.
with champagne.
Oh, yeah, because it doesn't match my favorite.
Never were there
Such devoted sisters. Many people try to split us up, but no one can. No one can. Lord help the mister who comes between me and my sister. And Lord help the sister who comes between me and my man.
We don't do this number in the show. You can
anywhere.
come and see it because we rehearse.
So nobody got to see that. Now this is a great example though, when you're making movies or documentaries, whatever, many things are filmed. They don't necessarily fit into the theme of a finished project. Not to say that this didn't, but we started having so much material, there's just like no end to it. But what's kind of cool about watching something like this is that you are getting an interesting snapshot into their relationship. Because first of all, if this had been produced by some outside entity, then they would have both been on guard and you wouldn't see them, as we say, in their natural habitat. That's my mom's guest house, or house at Carrie. She lived in Vegas, but she had a home on Carrie's property, which actually originally was Edith Head's estate, the costume designer. And they sold off the front, and there was a home built there. My mom bought that and put the estate back together years later. But it's interesting to see them interact like that. I mean, that's cute. They're really cute.
Was that an outtake?
That's absolutely not. No, that
Because
never
I
made
was
it.
looking at it thinking, I've never seen this before. And I've seen Bright Lights so many times. It's fun to see what ended up on the cutting room floor.
And what we did, we started, I don't know if you've heard of Patreon, but it's a site where we're putting our archives on Patreon. And so we're putting a lot of outtakes and a lot of unedited footage from shows over the decades. And believe me, we have a lot of stuff, both from my sister, my mother, my father.
Well, your
myself,
mother
her.
always filmed everything. She had a camera, a video camera, or I guess what was it called then? It was a film camera, actually. Your mom had a little...
She had a Bell & Howell wind-up 16 millimeter
Yeah.
camera.
And she
back in the
taped
day.
everything. So we have all that footage, and then you started using cameras like that when you were just a little boy, and you taped and documented everything. And we have all that. So we have something called Patreon, and it's, if you go to patreon.com and look for behind the stage door, and you can see all these incredible things. It's just it's an amazing thing to see a family that has kept archives
there's no
like
end
this.
to it. I find things all the time that I was like, whoa, where did that come from? You know, because my mother, like she said, was filming a lot, but it wasn't just that. There's things that we did that I didn't remember. You have the outtakes department, still pictures. It's weird to have so much of your life documented the way mine is.
Yes, and you know, it was kind of interesting to walk into your family. It was kind of like walking into the Addams family in a
Oh, no
way.
doubt.
Because, you know, it was a very different kind of family, and the three of them were like a unit. It was the three of them against the world. Not against, but you know what I mean. It was just the three of you. So when I came in, I remember your mom saying, "You're so brave to take us on," when we told her we were getting married.
Let me do it properly for you.
Yeah, and I said, what do you mean? And now 15 years later, I kind of get it. It's just really, but anyway, I would love to show another scene from Bright Lights. Carrie's best friend, one of her best friends growing up, is an actor named Griffin Dunn. And he, has been in, when you see him, you'll go, oh yeah, I've seen him in a lot of things. And, they had a special relationship, but I didn't really know how special until I saw
You'll
Bright
hear.
Lights. But anyway, why don't we go ahead and show
Well,
that.
wait. Explain also Griffin's family.
Griffin's what?
Family.
Well, his father was Dominic Dunn, who was a writer. In the early days of Hollywood, he was a producer. I actually met him way before I ever met you. I lived in New York City when I was working on One Life to Live. And I went to see my friend Polly Bergen do her cabaret. And Griffin's dad, Dominic Dunn, was my dinner mate.
Yep.
He was sitting next to me at dinner. And the OJ trial was going on at the time. And he was front and center of the OJ trial because he was the only writer permitted in the courtroom. So we were all just like, what is happening? And he told me all the behind the scenes stuff and some really amazing stories, which someday I'll probably write about in a book because it was so incredible.
Yeah.
So that's Griffin's dad.
But he grew up with Carrie and I, and so we were all close friends. And I didn't really understand early on that he had alleviated Carrie of her virginity.
No, we didn't know
So,
that till we saw the movie.
nor would I have been thrilled about that as the brother. So there was that going on in the background, and that's part of what they're going to be talking about. They're also in London at this time while Carrie's filming
The
Star
Force
Wars.
Awakens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's hit it.
Okay.
Enough said about that.
Harry? Fish,
Coming!
where are you?
Bubblehead.
You have glitter.
I dressed as a hooker for my old friend.
You're worth a fortune. How are you? So how's the new Star Wars going?
I'm not allowed to
Oh, that's
answer
right,
that.
you can't say.
No, and
can't
this
be
is
allowed to.
not about the movie I'm doing, but the movie I'm doing, they
The
got.
science fiction thing you're doing now?
No, I'm just Star Trek. I'm doing Star
Yeah, okay,
Trek.
great.
So now so they have a stand-in for me. I don't realize it's my stand-in because she's a little old lady. Yeah, I did have an attractive stand-in when I was attractive.
When the movie came out, everything changed so fast.
Yeah.
So fast for both of us.
We got
Coming
famous early.
really early. And I would, come
Get
back
it
from
out
my
of the
waiting
way.
jobs and have this surreal existence with, whatever eagle was at the house or whatever movie star or
It was that. Remember the one that it's not Don Henley?
no, it was
sent me
Glenn
a
Fry
stereo.
sent you the stereo. And you didn't even know him.
I didn't know him exactly.
And
I
he
met him
sent
on
an
a plane.
entire huge hi-fi thing, had it delivered
Yeah,
as just a how do you do.
he wanted to know me.
Yeah.
I liked the life that you got with Star Wars. The money and the fun and the, attention. And one thing my next shrink said to me was that the reason that so many people want to be actors is they confuse attention with love. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I understood it to be some weird thing because of my mom and all of that, but I did like the life. And so I did as little as possible to deserve it. But I do like the one-woman show thing that I do, and now that's also why Debbie likes me.
Go figure. Well, you
I'm
fulfilled
doing
her.
a nightclub act.
You fulfilled her
She-
wish.
That's what she wanted. It is what she wanted.
Yeah.
She's seriously excited
Just took
about
you a
it.
while to get there.
There's a lot
Another
going on
outtake.
there.
I've never seen
Holy
that
mackerel.
scene. Yeah, well, did you recognize him? He was in a great movie that I still love so much called An American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my favorite movie.
But you're
of
hearing
his.
Carrie, be really honest about fame and talking about things that, wouldn't necessarily be something you'd catch on a talk show, And also, this other stuff ends up not being heard, but it's a very interesting conversation, I think.
Again, I've never seen that scene, so that's interesting. Yeah.
See, I can entertain her even at the same
He has
time.
been entertaining me for 15 years.
Shocking.
I was telling everybody the other night, I'm a hypnotist and I'm a mentalist, so
What?
I'm a live performer now. I did my show here the other night. So
You're a
you might have been
hypnotist?
there. He thinks he's never been hypnotized. Man hasn't been awake in 15 years.
You know how she brings people out of, being hypnotized as there's a command that's given? She's never given the command. So,
He's much happier that way. So I love that we have these clips that I've never seen, because it's fun for me.
I want to entertain you
Yes.
just as badly as everybody else.
Okay, so I was just thinking that, maybe you want to take them on the Alaska cruise that you went with with your.
London to Alaska. Now,
But whose birthday was it?
Paul Allen, who's the co-founder of Microsoft, became friends with Carrie. And he came to her, and he had a bit of an image problem, Paul Allen. Like, he was a bit of a nerd, rich nerd, but people didn't know how to approach him, and they were trying to work on his image. So they literally said, like, Carrie, will you be his friend and make him cool? So Carrie said, well, the first thing you have to do if you want to be cool is you have to throw like a ridiculous party, and I'm good at that, spending ridiculous money on a ridiculous party. So the first party we went to was the year before, where he rented in like half of Venice, Italy, literally, like the entire Cipriani Hotel on the island, plus other things. It was,
That's too much money. I mean, that's when you know you have too much
it
money.
was, well, anyway, that was an interesting part of it. What we're showing you now, the clip I have, is actually from the second birthday, where we had to up that. So instead of renting half of Venice, he rented the entire cruise ship of the Crystal Harmony. So not as big as this, but a 2,000 person cruise ship.
Oh, it's as big as this.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I had never really been a cruise person. That was one of the first cruises I went on. And I was kind of mind blown that he had just rented the whole thing. How about imagine if our group just had this entire ship. It's like, okay. I mean, it's a little extravagant, wouldn't you say? Or do you guys do this all the time? Okay. So needless to say, he rents the cruise ship, and then he invites a couple of hundred of his closest friends, like Carrie's friends. So then it became Carrie and myself. I'm second stringer compared to who was there. It was who's who, and you're about to see
How many
who's who.
people were there, would you say?
Only about 400. In fact, there was like literally like 1,000 people working on the ship, and there were 400 of us. So, I mean, every time I turn around, somebody's like, "Can I get you this?" This is a pretty attentive crew here. The way they handle.
And your
it.
mom was there, of course.
Oh yeah, you're going to see all of that. Anyway, I shot a few things with my little funky video camera, and so you're going to see some people. See if you guys know who they are. There's a lot of famous people, just even in the clips. We'll have more of this available on the Patreon site, but this is excerpts from all of that. But some of my favorite excerpts, in many ways, you're about to see George Lucas smile, which has never been seen before. So there you go.
Great shot. Okay. Great shot.
Not as big as this. By the way, Alaska cruise, must do. Candace Bergen, you got that? We grew up with her. She was a couple years older than us, but she was friends for the whole life.
I tell you, being a captain in a small boat with all this crew was good.
Mommy shouting instructions to me.
Wait a minute. When did that happen? What happened?
Carrie was very angry with me.
Damn it, Carrie. Why did you bring up on poor Ed?
Ed Begley Jr.'s father was Ed Begley Sr., one Academy Award-winning actor.
Come on, get to the beat, guys. They're off the beat.
Did you know that Jeff Goldblum's that big? He's one tall dude.
Yeah, absolutely. That was fun. I mean, you don't get to see people often, the stars in their, when they're, like, again, their natural habitat when they're
Yeah,
just
so
being-
nobody here is putting on anything, you know what I mean? Everybody's just acting like we're acting. They're just passengers on a party ship. And it was fun because you got to, I mean, there were a lot of cool people on this ship, including not so much famous people. Quincy Jones I got to be friends with on this ship, and he fell in love with my mom during this time. And when my mother passed away, he wrote me a beautiful note.
Oh, I remember that.
He's really-
Actually, Paul Allen, whose party this was, I remember he sent an email to you right after they passed away. And he said, I lost my friends.
Yes.
I mean, I met him a couple of times at the house when it was Carrie's birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, it was very strange because Carrie had her 60th birthday, and Debbie insisted that she would have a party. She didn't want to have a party because turning 60, she was just kind of,
Well,
you
she
know.
was also burnt out from working on the
Yeah,
Star
she was
Wars
very
movies.
tired, but you know, your mom was so wise because she said, no, we're having a birthday party for you up at Carrie's house. And so Carrie was off filming was it Rise of Skywalker? What, maybe,
Well,
or?
what was the first
That,
one?
the
The first
Force Awakens, but
Force Awakens.
she was,
Force Awakens.
yeah,
What?
the Last Jedi,
Ah.
yeah.
No, we hadn't done that. Remember, she didn't shoot anything for it. She would have been filming that. But
Yeah,
she was
actually-
actually just finishing
yeah.
the other one.
That's right. So no, where was I going with this? Help me.
Debbie being wise and
Debbie,
throwing a
yes,
party.
and why Debbie insisted on the birthday party. That is the last time we ever saw Carrie, because fate would have it, a month later, Carrie passed away. She had a heart attack on the plane coming in for Christmas. We were all waiting for her at the house. And then the next morning, Debbie decided to check out. She willed herself right off the planet because she didn't want Carrie to be alone, is what I think.
Sure.
And, you just never know where life is going to take you or when it is going to take you. So that taught at least me that you should live every life, every day to its absolute fullest. I mean, absolutely every day. And it also taught me that we can get past just about anything, if you have the right frame of mind. And if you say, we shall meet again.
That was my philosophy.
Yes, that's right.
A lot of people ask me, oh, it's such a difficult thing to go through. And I said, well, it would be truly unbearable if I didn't think we would all one day see each other again.
Right.
And so your faith is many times what brings you through the difficult things.
Yep.
The video you just saw, obviously, we have a much longer version of that. And some of it you could say, if you just sit, like there's even a sequence in an airport where everybody's just sitting on an airport, and when you see who's just hanging around, like getting treated like we get treated, waiting for the plane, as I call it, the cattle chute treatment when they load you on the plane. So here's all these super rich, some of them are billionaires and some of them are just famous people, and they're all sitting in this funky little airport waiting to be picked up just like the rest of us do, waiting to get our bags and everything else. So when it all comes right down to it, we're all the same.
Yes, that's exactly. Time waits for no man. That is so true. I see you brought Carrie's lightsaber.
So a few days ago, seemingly a lifetime ago, we ran a film, and I did a Q&A after, and I said everybody could take a picture with Carrie's lightsaber if they wanted to. And so we had some people who came to that who got to do that, and then hopefully there's some people here that didn't get their picture taken with the lightsaber. So when this is over, where are we going to be?
We'll be at the table in
Over
the
there.
back. And if you want to have
this
your
will be
picture
there and we'll
taken.
allow you to take a picture with it, because it's not every day that you get to take a picture with a princess's lightsaber. The lightsabers are, I just call them a pivotal part of the entire storyline of Star Wars. Right from the beginning, the lightsabers are a mythical part of the magic, part of the power of the Force, and not just anybody can wield it. You see, she's still trying to figure out how to turn it on.
Well, the thing is, I always thought it had the light on it because I didn't see Star Wars, remember?
I have one that's a
So-
very high-end toy.
And so I was like, well, where's the... And then after watching The Force Awakens, I realized that the Force comes out of the lightsaber.
You must be a Jedi to operate one.
Exactly.
So I never worry about handing it to anybody, because I have yet to run into anybody that could actually turn it on, except George Lucas, and then he has to pay for all these visual
It's
effects
heavier
people.
than I thought. It's kind of like the Academy Award. We have
Yeah,
Debbie's
a
Academy
reaction.
Award at the house, and we have a museum in our house in Las Vegas. We wish everybody could see it because
Well, you
it's
actually,
really...
at the end, there's a clip. You remember he made
Yes,
a clip of
yes.
that. There's a,
But everyone wants to have their picture taken with the Academy Award. That's one of the big, things. But when people pick that up, they're always shocked how heavy it is. I feel like that about this.
well, not everybody can afford to buy a real lightsaber. They are around, but so then they do make replicas that are cool,
They make
high-end
really
ones.
nice replicas.
Some of them are like thousands, and they go down in price. And then it gets down to, like, what can I collect from Star Wars? And I don't know exactly how or why, but we ended up with the 30th anniversary of the United States Post Office of all the stamps from Star Wars and the envelopes. And this is a set of them here I'm holding.
You can't really tell through the
Well,
plastic.
they're in cellophane, but that's Carrie's envelope with a stamp on it. And so if you can't afford a lightsaber or even something down there, these are highly collectible. And we brought some of those with us, because I don't really have a lot of Star Wars memorabilia that I can part with. I have Carrie's metal bikini. I'm not ever giving that up. It took me 40 years to get it. I have her white dress from the first Star Wars. I have her weapons. I was going to bring some of this stuff, but the ship had regulations about having, other types of weapons. Somehow this got through. I did get held up at not customs, but at TCA. This went through the X-ray, and they pulled me aside, and they're like, "What's that?"
It got in on its own recognizance.
I did. I said that's a lightsaber,
Yes.
and everybody came over, and and then the one guy said, "Well, does it work?" I said, "Well, it just depends on what movie you're watching." No, I won't be firing that up for it. No, so a lot of people that get it, though, they do think it's going to light up, but because of the toys that are made that do light up, but this, of course, is made for the movie, not for visual effects at Star Wars events.
Yeah. So I guess when I met Todd, I was an actress my whole life. From the time I was in my late teens, the last show I did was called One Life to Live. I had done a lot of shows in Broadway. I lived in New York City. Now, I had met Todd, not really met him, but I saw him across church in 1980. And he was married. I was married too.
The wrong people.
But the third one's free, so I always tell people that, don't worry about it. So, but I remember seeing him, and he was so darn cute. And also, I just remember thinking how nice it would be to be with a man that loved the Lord. That's how I felt. And I wanted someone that loved God more than they loved me, because I knew they'd be a good husband. And 40 years later, Facebook.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm joking, but I'm not, Anyway, I spent 39 years as an actress. I was talking about this morning at breakfast. People ask me why I don't do it anymore, and it's because I don't want to. I didn't have any unmet dreams as an actress, but I had a lot of unmet dreams as other things, which is what I do now, and writing books and doing hypnosis shows.
Chickens.
And what?
And your chickens.
And I have lots of chickens, some of which live in the house. What other man would have me? I have a rooster. He's 9 years old. He's blind. He sleeps at the end of the bed. I love my animals. I have 30 or so, I rescue farm animals.
She
But I'm
has
on the road a
She has
lot.
way more than that. She brought 2 pigeons home from Los Angeles.
Well, one was hurt, and the other one they
Was
mate
the
for
mate.
life.
You don't want to separate the 2 pigeons, God forbid. So we had started with 2, and that was 5 or 6 years ago. There's now 200.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
Well, I'm just saying, there are certain things that come with the package. The cleanup from the pigeons. I mean, it's like San Marcos Square in Venice in our backyard.
Well, it's nice. You go out and stand in the back and put your arms out, and they come eat out of your hand. I mean,
And other things.
and other things, exactly. But in addition to all the soap operas I've done, I spent 39 years alone on daytime television. But I did Airwolf, and I did some episodes of Knight Rider as a very pivotal character named Stevie. I don't know if you remember her. I see some nodding over there. And it's funny. You have to be careful what you wish for, and what I say that I mean, make sure what you wish for is something you really want, because you can also wish for things without the word wish. You think of things too much, you attract that too. But when I was a young girl, I watched the series Starsky and Hutch. How many people remember that show? I was a Starsky and Hutch girl. And there was an actress named Susan Hubley. Do you know who she is? And she did a guest starring role on that show, and she played a love interest of Paul Michael Glaser. Now, they were all very young back then, and me too. I was younger even. And she played the star-crossed love interest, and she ended up dying. And of course, as an audience member, I was so upset. But I just remember the love story, and I remember how much it affected me as a young girl. So when Knight Rider started, I will tell you, in full disclosure, I was married to David Hasselhoff for about 5 minutes. No, really, it was 3 of the longest years of my life. And I don't want to say anything bad about him, it's just, they were long. And so, but when the show started, we were both on soap operas when we met.
See, the bar was so low for me, I barely had to do anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I'm just saying, the competition wasn't.
But I had a really good second husband. The third one's free, remember? Okay, so anyway, the Knight Rider series he got while we were together. And I remember thinking, this show is awesome. And it started out because he had a different face, so nobody knew that Michael Knight was actually Michael Long and had a life before being a crime fighter in a famous car. So I started thinking about that. What was his life before? Did he have a girlfriend? Did he have a... So I wrote a synopsis, about 22-page synopsis, and I gave it to the producers just to read. I didn't think anything would come of it. I was on a show called Capital at the time. And they wrote, and they sent back they loved the idea. And I said, oh, this is awesome. Because I wanted to play the part, of the girl that he left behind that thinks he's dead. And they made me audition for it. So the thought of someone else was going to play this part was really painful. But I got the part.
What was the audition scene?
Oh God, I don't remember.
There's always a fun, we watch movies a lot together, obviously. When we do, a lot of times you're watching a movie and we could tell where, what was the audition.
I'll say,
I'll
that
say,
was
there's
the audition scene, because it's always the hardest scene in the movie. But
usually
anyway.
emotional or something extreme, and you had to really show your acting skills.
So we'll take you back to the 80s for a moment and show you a scene from Knight Rider. Why are we back at the convention hall? Mm-hmm.
Kid, unlock the door.
Who's that?
That's me with 80s hair.
Michael, this is crazy! Kid, right away, Michael.
There are 1,000 songs that make me think of you. But if I can't pick 1,000, see if you can remember this one.
God bless the day I found you. I want to stay around you now and forever. Let it be me. Each time we meet love, without your sweet love. What would that be?
So have you ever seen that before?
No.
I didn't think
I'm
so.
glad though.
About which part?
No, you were great, but he's not one of my.
Oh,
He's,
yeah.
I come from a family of singers, so and male singers that can stay on key. And I mean, of course, that's dubbed too, but that's the best they could do for him.
Todd Fisher. Todd Fisher.
You sounded great.
Oh. By then I was just a shower singer. And then later I took voice
I
lessons.
think you were more than that. I mean, I like the
No,
harmonies were good.
But you know what? It's so weird when I don't. Sometimes I'll be sitting around the house and something with David will come on the TV, and people turn to me.
Oh, is that David Hasselhoff?
I'm sorry, it was. And people will say to me, "How does that feel? Like, what does that make you feel like to see him?" And I said, "It doesn't make me feel anything."
I thought you were going to start singing. There's no business like show.
No, and the reason is, and I'm going to tell this story if there's a reason for it. Because, you know what I say is that it's like someone else lived that part of my life and I just watched it. And I think that that's a really important thing to be able to do. For those of you who had difficult childhoods, for those of you who had difficult or traumatic things happen to you in your life, in a way, if you can just imagine that someone else lived that part of your life and you just watched it, and that you felt for that person, that it makes things easier to let go of. I mean, you know, that's really my takeaway, was because I've learned how to do that with every painful thing, because every life is full of ups, downs, good and hard, and you know, so and we're here, we're all still here, and that's the beauty of it, is that it, you know, like your mother said, I ain't down yet, you know, like you just don't let things take you down.
Well, she was the champion of the comebacks.
Yep. Yep.
Life threw her a lot of curveballs, and some of them were due to her choices, obviously, so you couldn't blame somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she did have a tendency to always overcome tough situations. But her philosophies were pretty simple. You know, she had a very strong belief in God, and she had a very strong sense of family and protecting her kids. God help you if you got in between my mother and, you know, her children.
Yeah.
You forget it. I actually saw my mother twice in my life defending me. She punched one guy in the face. She was 96 pounds doing the play Irene. She punched this short Italian guy in the face, knocked him right to the ground with a right cross punch.
Is that where you learned that? I saw you do that to someone once, and I
No,
thought, well, they were standing there a minute ago. They're on the floor.
Only for the out of control.
Well, it was an out of control situation.
But she was very protective, is the point, and a survivor. So that's what in the earlier video, when I talk about people surviving, you know, and what a great example she is along those lines. I think if you could, everybody has their issues in life. Sometimes you look at it, and you compare it to somebody else's, you're like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah.
It's like at a certain point, my mother lost all of her money, and we were like supposedly broke, but like you know, us being broke was still like, you know, hardly broke.
It's not like being broke today.
Yeah, it's a different kind of broke.
Yeah.
And we still had a laundress and a cook.
Right.
So it's hard to be broke and you know, you have a lot of the lifestyle.
Well, you know what it is when someone spends all of your money and you don't know it. That's kind of rough.
It can be upsetting.
Yeah. That's why whenever he says, oh, I found the metal bikini from Star Wars, and I just brace myself. I'm like, oh, how much is it? Because memorabilia collecting it's expensive. But you know what? We have this museum. We hope to have it someday in a building so everyone can see it, because that was part of Debbie's dream. And so it became our dream, and it's kind of cool to have it in the house.
Well, so that's where we started the conversation early in the show. I said that, you know, everybody hopefully has a fun collection of their own. And my sister collected ephemera, like off-color advertising and giant Prozac pills or ketchup bottles or you know, you know, Aunt Jemima boxes that were considered no longer.
Your
you know,
sister's
racist.
house alone could have been like a Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, it was. I have some really cool three-dimensional photos I shot at the house. But anyway, we do have some clips of, don't I?
No, I think we're
Oh,
done.
no, what we have 3 segments of projects we're working on that are my collectibles. So I'm like, one of my passions has always been collecting the cameras that made the movies, and then that became lenses and other things. So I have Charlie Chaplin's camera, for an example, which is pretty cool because it's 1916. But I go all the way through the history of filmmaking. I have about 20 cameras. But recently I discovered a camera crane, which is the first one we're doing. Do you recall? So we also, as I mentioned earlier, are restoring different things. Now, I'm restoring this camera crane right now that I just discovered. It took me 30 years to get it out of the guy's hands. But we also have restored my mother's neon sign from the hotel in Las Vegas. And a lot of the people that are part of our show actually donated to restore part of that. So we did it collectively. So part of our group here actually restored her giant neon sign. That's in the Neon Sign Museum in Las Vegas. So you'll see a little clip of that. We also were redoing my mother's Las Vegas Debbie letters. She used to ride down out of the
There they
fly
are,
loft.
behind you.
So I can talk. You can run it and I'll just talk over it. She's actually sitting up there. Do you see her up there between the bees?
Oh,
yeah, that's her. There she is. So these letters were sitting outside for like 45, 50 years at Debbie Reynolds Dance Studio. So a lot of restoration work to bring these back. But I think it'd be kind of fun to have a giant set of Debbie letters. There they are. And that's what they look at right now. So you can see they need some help, right?
Yep.
So we've begun work on this. And the hardest part right now is getting those chrome reflectors reproduced. They were made with a process called vacuum forming. And the plastic no longer exists. It's a chrome plastic, so we can't even get that. Now this is the front of our house, and you'll notice those two epaulettes there were from the tomb of Cleopatra, in the movie Cleopatra with Liz Taylor. There's the camera crane. It's called the RO crane. It came from MGM Studios. If you can see that picture on the right, my mom is actually sitting on this very crane in 1950. And on the monitor there is a film clip from 2 Weeks with Love. It's a Technicolor movie, and there's the actual camera crane being used in the movie. You'll see it a couple of times. This is like the holy grail of camera cranes. I know it's a weird thing to collect. Some people collect.
Let me just say, I came home one day, and he was going out the door with a little suitcase. And I said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm going to Texas." I said, "What? When? What's happening?" He had just found out that the guy that owned this crane, he had passed away, and the crane was in storage. And what is his wife?
Right.
Who let you know that they
No,
were.
what actually happened, that is true, but this is the guy I've been trying to buy it off of for years, and he always wanted crazy, crazy money for it, or didn't want to sell it at all. And then about a year before he passed away, we knew that he was ill, and he said, "Well, I just can't bear to think of parting with this." I'm like, "Well, I hate to break the news to you, but like this crane is going to stay here and while you're gone, and you need someone to restore it and take care of it. And sitting here in an airplane hangar outside of Houston, Texas, that ain't going to happen. It's going to get scrapped." Well, he dies without doing anything about it. So a friend of mine was a camera operator who lived in Houston, and we got him to find the wife, and we got her, couldn't get her on the phone. She was obviously going through difficulties because she just lost her husband. And then it's like, in come the vultures, "I want your stuff." But I got her on the phone, and I said, "It's very important that we preserve this camera crane because this shot every movie from Singing in the Rain to The Wizard of Oz." I mean, I could go down the list, hundreds of movies that came out of MGM. All the dance movies with Fred Astaire, Eleanor Powell, you name it, they were all shot with that crane. This was, if you notice the crane, I don't know if you can go back to it, but it's the camera, see the guy sits on that little seat there, and then the whole camera and the operator turn. But also was the only crane that allowed the camera to get down very low. And Fred Astaire wanted you to be able to see the feet, but still had a wide enough shot, but obviously the feet need to be in the shot. So it was the only camera that could get the low camera angles for dances. So when you see a camera moving in on a dance number in the future, and you name it, the movie, any musical you name from MGM, and it comes in or it comes out, moves around, that is shot with this crane. So it's the most famous crane in the world from my perspective. The camera that's on there is an example of a camera that would have been on there. Believe it or not, it's also electronically driven. It has a trolley car motor in it from the Los Angeles red cars. This is when LA actually had trolley cars. So it's a DC motor driving system. It's a very interesting piece of technology. It won an Academy Award in 1936.
4 minutes.
Right. So anyway, there you go. And there, oh, our front door. So that's the inside when you walk through our front door. In fact, that camera you just saw was Chaplin's on the right there. And there's the Debbie letters.
Which all of our viewers, you know, when they buy things from our auctions, this is where the money goes to our legacy projects and restoring, keeping Debbie and Carrie's legacy alive. But it costs us so much to do because we couldn't, those are neon, and we don't want to get away from neon. We want to keep that, not use LED lights.
Well, we got the original company that made it.
Yes.
And one of the
and
original
restored
designers to come back and make sure that it was restored 100% the way it was.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see. And it's a fun thing, you know, when you can be part of a project like that. How many of you guys that were here that participated in that? See, there's a few of you. See, these people, they all bought things that we did various ways to raise funds for it, but I certainly could have just done it on my own, but I felt like I had friends like Mark Sullivan. There was a lot of people that jumped in and wanted to, Beth, a lot of people really wanted to be part of something like that. So it's fun to be able to take the whole group on a journey like that.
That's right. So after the show, we're going to be over there to meet and greet. Anybody who would like to come, say hi, get a hug. Just meet us, and we want to be with our people too.
I just want everybody, let's give a round of applause for Pat and Todd.